Boom, 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 boom. Let's bring the party back, baby. It appears that the Sooners have finally started to hit their stride. Yet another commitment as linebacker Jakore Smith out of Arkansas has pledged his commitment to Oklahoma. So the Sooners got their second defensive commitment the last few days. And I think that we're going to keep the party going. So, of course, you know what we do. We're going to look at those measurables. We're going to talk about, watch a little film. And then we'll also talk about a couple players that have set their OVs that seem significant. Or actually, their top teams, even more significant. So let's dive into that. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank you for pulling up to the channel. So Oklahoma gets themselves another commitment, Jakore Smith. So let's pull them up. Look at the measurables. Let's talk about another player that's committed. As you can see here, Jakore pulls up 6 foot 1-ish. On his profile, he put 6'1", about 195 pounds. 4-star consensus and composite. He's a 4-star 247, as well as at Rivals on 3 as him as a 3, but his consensus is a 4-star. Out of Little Rock, Arkansas. He just transferred from Parkview Magnet to Bryant High School. And so he's a top 400 player in the country. And the one thing that jumped out for me for Jakore is he's got a pretty nice offer list. Of course, in-state squad of Arkansas desperately wanted him. Nebraska's going across the country to snatch him up. K-State hit him up. But he's also got Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida State, Michigan, Missouri, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Oregon, Tennessee. And, of course, one of the up-and-coming teams that's been spending a ton of bread, Sacramento State. Mention that for a reason because Sacramento State just moved into D1. But more so than anything, it's kind of crazy to see that Oklahoma is now starting to accept those commitments and get some players in. So when I looked at the film of Jakore, we got to pull this up. At his size, he reminds me a lot of kind of Kip. If you want me to be 100% honest, not saying he's going to be Kip, but he reminds me of his play style. He gets downhill very well, and he's going to get you a sack. And he does a good job of sliding on the defense. So for me, you want someone like that, of course. You know, he could play probably more of a Mike spot right there in the middle, guiding the defense. And then, of course, causing fumbles and forcing some stuff out. So I like what I see out of him. Coach Venables, Coach Drelling, and Coach Goodwin are definitely in their bag going after these linebackers. And it appears that Oklahoma's probably going to up those numbers. So, last class, we only took one linebacker in Marcus James, who will be here in the fall. He wasn't an early enrollee. So I sense Oklahoma's probably going to have to really up those numbers. If you really think about it, Kendall Daniels will be gone. You're possibly going to lose Kip and Kobe. Is a possibility. There's a chance they can come back too. You don't know, but there's a possibility. So you want to plan for those 3 being out, which leads you down to James Nesta and Sammy Omasigo as your incumbents, and then you're going to be moving in and moving down with the young linebackers like Marcus James and anybody else you bring in the portal. So Oklahoma has a spot open there for linebackers. Kind of need to go start looking at that, and I expect them to go pull probably 3 to 4 in this class if possibly can. This has a really solid class of linebackers. When you really look at it, got a good solid group, but I like what I see out of Jakore. I sense they see a guy that has really good vision and fast enough. That's what matters. And I kind of like watching the way that he moves up on the line and he blitzes. He blitzes well and he hits. Again, if you all know me very well, I talk about this a lot. Oklahoma likes to get these dudes that like to put helmets in chest, not just pull a guy down. No, they want dudes that are leveling people. And since that's the case, the physical defense is going to be critical for what Oklahoma does down the line. So it's another pickup. Let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts. 2026 is starting to come down the line. We had a couple of players that dropped their top team. So, had like Nico Jandreau dropped his top 5, like right before he decided to just go ahead and, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and commit. And so he completed his. Well, then you got some other big name players that you're after, like a Valdin Sone, the big ticket, big boy, 6'4", 320, the Swedish kid that's out there playing ball in Virginia. He dropped his top 8. And, of course, on that list, you got Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Texas, South Carolina, Auburn, USC, and Nebraska. And you know Oklahoma's hardcore on him. You've seen visits taken by, Todd Bates consistently. Brent Venables has been out to go see the kid. He's one that, Sooners desperately want. And I feel like we have a very good shot. It sounds like the relationship is strong, and he likes what Oklahoma has to offer. But if anything, we just got to wait and see if we can close and seal the deal. Hoping we can pull that one off. That's one big one. Another one that happens, again, this is more defensive players really jumping out, is Danny Odem, linebacker out of Orlando, Florida. The first academy where he's from. He's a 4-star, top 400 player in the country. Nice long list of offers. And so he has a good list. Penn State, some of your biggest schools. Miami, of course, one of the big bag schools out there. But you got Auburn, Baylor, Florida, Clemson, Florida State, and all of that. And Ole Miss. I mean, a lot of SEC, a lot of good programs that do well when it comes to the DB world. But at 6'1", 180, he's one that I know Oklahoma would love to get their hands on. He dropped his top 8. And as you can see, the top 8 here with Penn State, Florida, Clemson, Syracuse, Fran Brown, shout out to him, Georgia, Nebraska, Miami, and Oklahoma all up there. And it sounds like Oklahoma does have a legitimate shot. And y'all know we want some bigger corners. That would be nice if we could land him as well. So keep your eyes open on that. Let me know what you think. Hop in the comments. Want to hear your thoughts. Want to drop a quick video on some of these players that have put in the info on their they're looking at commitments and stuff. Glad that we're starting to see some actual roll in. I guess, like I said, we're now accepting as many commitments as possible because it's time to start doing it, baby. We know that visits in June are going to be huge. I've got my list built in the Discord. You can check it out. But we'll also drop a video to break down all the players that are expected to come over the next it'll be next 4 weekends, starting in the first weekend of June. We'll have a long list of all the players that we know is going to pull up. And, we'll dive into that and talk more soon. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button if you love the content, bell notification. And check out me and my boy John over there at Locked On Sooners, where we drop you some daily content. And, I'm about to get back to my old ways of breaking down some of these Talking Heads reactions, because I'm going to tell you now, the gas is being poured on Oklahoma because everybody's riding with them. I'll explain that in the next video that's coming out probably first thing tomorrow. We'll chop it up soon. Peace.